Good day, everyone. Tabang here. Welcome to another episode of Careers Podcast for SA. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about geotechnical engineering, or as some of you may know it, rock engineering. Being someone who works in the mining industry, I know firsthand the importance of this work direction, this career, because the tasks that these guys carry out can literally be the difference between life and death for miners in the mining environment. But I think, the perfect person to help you understand a little bit more what that entails is my guest today, Tandi. Hi, Tandi.
Hi, Tabang.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Yeah, thanks for inviting me here.
I'm hoping for the next 30 minutes, I'm hoping we can shoot through a few questions that will hopefully have our viewers understanding a lot more what geotechnical engineering is about. But I think before we do all that, most importantly, can you tell us a bit about Tandi, the person?
Yeah, Tandile. So Tandile is from Tanzania. Was born in Tanzania, which is a township in East London. Formerly, it was a homeland called the Itasca, which was obviously stopped in 1994 and was incorporated back to South Africa. So that's where I grew up. I did my primary schooling in Tanzania, and I went to a technical school where then I was basically confined into doing maths, physics, woodwork, bricklaying, and technical drawing. So then I actually was confined into a technical scientific route. So that's where I finished my high school, and then after that I went to Cape Town to study for my tertiary degree in civil engineering. And that's me.
That's the journey.
That's the journey, yes.
No, very interesting. Some people might think that I'm exaggerating when I speak about the life and death impacts of geotechnical engineering. So do you want to break down what geotechnical engineering is?
So geotechnical engineering, sometimes it's called rock engineering. So the words are used interchangeably. I prefer to call it rock engineering, where we're talking about deep level mining. So where we're mining at depths up to 4 kilometers, because all that surrounds you is rock. And I prefer to call it geotechnical engineering, where it's a mix of soils and rocks. And so, but in essence, geotechnical engineering is the application of science and behaviors of soils and rocks to build structures or infrastructure around them. So an example, for instance, is that you are going to build a tunnel through a rock mass. So you need to study the mechanics of the rocks that you are going to construct that tunnel in to make sure that it doesn't collapse on people and also destroy value. So that's in essence what geotechnical engineering is. So in terms of mining, is to ensure that we mine safely and economically. So you have to tick those two boxes and find a balance between safety and productivity.
Look, I think without a doubt, fall of ground, whether it be within open pit or underground, is still the main reason why people are losing their lives within the mining industry. Why do you think that is? Is this a failing by professionals, or are there just some things that are hard to predict?
That's a good question. Yeah. So I've come from an underground environment, and then I work in surface mining now. So but it's still the same kind of risks, if I may put it that way. And what I've learned is that the science is still relatively new. All other forms of engineering, like let's take civil engineering, you take materials and then you build a structure with a material, so you know how those materials behave, you know how a cement behaves already. Whereas when you talk about mining and rock engineering, you enter into an unknown territory, which is a rock that's sitting 3 kilometers beneath you. So you need to work with that and develop new science and techniques as you encounter new environments. So I think relatively the science is still very new. In fact, when I worked at, now I'm talking about my career where I started. I started at CSIR, which is our scientific research institute in South Africa, and we had a division called Mining Technology. So I started my career there, where the burning question at that time was, if we are going to mine at 5, 6, 7 kilometers for gold, for extracting gold, I mean, that was the thought. What would be the new criteria for science to mine at those depths? And that CSR division of mining technology was only formed in 1967. 1967 were the big disaster in the mining industry, as you talked about. Fatalities, 400 people died in a disaster called the Coldbrook. And then the government at that time decided that, okay, we need to find ways to have some kind of science and engineering in how we design mines. And then they formed the CSR Mining Technology. So it's not, so the science is actually only since 1967 that we actually do science in geotech. Yeah, and I think that's why we're still trying to understand and develop new methodologies, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think because you've touched on it already, maybe run us through your career path, where you started and where you currently are.
So to work backwards, I'm a principal geotechnical engineer at this stage, and I'm basically involved in managing the geotechnical engineering process at a mining company called Kumba Iron Ore, which is a division of Anglo American. And so where I started was CSIR. I did civil engineering, and after I did civil engineering, I was sort of idling around, deciding what is it that I'm going to do with my life. I actually never liked civil engineering. And then I went to CSIR to join them, and I did underground instrumentation at depths of about 3 kilometers, and so that's on my job. And then what I would do is to take those instrumentation, the results, put them in a computer, and then simulate what would happen if we're mining at 6, 7 kilometers. Yeah, so I enjoyed that a lot, and I actually liked a lot working with computers. And I decided to join another company. After 4 years spending at CSR, I joined another company called Itasca, which is based in Minneapolis in the United States. So that is a company that makes highly specialized computer simulation softwares to solve geotechnical problems. So I needed to learn more about how those softwares work. And so I spent 3 years with Itasca applying those softwares to various problems in mining in South Africa. Clients including Gold Fields, Anglo Gold, De Beers, Sasol. So all sort of mining commodities and mining methods. So after spending 4 years there, so that's another 4 years now, that's 8 years, I moved and I went to consulting. Because I wanted to sort of broaden my horizon now, and not to be about software, and to be about the whole value chain of geotechnical engineering. And so I joined a company called SRK Consulting, which is one of the leading geotechnical consultants in the country. And I stayed there for 3 years. And so after SRK, I moved to join Kumba Iron Ore, and I went to Tabazimbi in Limpopo. And so I worked at Tabazimbi mine for about 4 years, mining the geotechnical program of the mine, also trying to get my hands dirty to actually understand mining, at that level. And then I worked my way up from operations to head office, where I was trying to sort of find new technologies and in terms of how we can advance the science of geotech and also facilitate governance and technical support to operations. And then recently, as of last month, I got promoted, and I'm now the principal. And so that means I'm carrying the umbrella of geotech.
Drinks on you for the next 5 years is what I
yes,
is what I say.
Yes, yeah.
No, that's very good. Look, I think I always like it when people run through that journey, because it gives like junior people within those positions an idea of what directions other people took, that will maybe inspire them to think, what are some of the possibilities that I can look to get into. But I mean, you've touched a little bit on some of the dangers that are posed by mining, that result in the need for careers like geotechnical mining. And I think while we're on that topic, the question is, do you think mining, with its dangers to people and with its dangers to the environment as well, should we continue mining? Do you think it's still important in this day and age?
Yeah, I think it's still very important. I think a lot of the raw minerals that we need will have to come from a mining operation. So if you take, for instance, iron ore, which is used for steel making, which drives infrastructure projects. So we're still going to need iron ore for a very long time, and other minerals like manganese, which is associated with iron ore as well. Platinum, we're still going to need platinum for a very, very long time. Even if we're going to electrification, we're still going to need platinum. Although coal, we're moving towards clean energy. As a developing nation, we still are highly dependent on coal-powered power stations for electricity generation, and we've got a lot of resources in coal. So mining is here to stay, and then I think going forward, the question, or the burning question, is that how do we make it safer, and how do we harness technology to improve safety and productivity, but as well balance it, with ability to provide jobs, and also just to change the image of mining, and make sure that we do it in a sustainable manner going forward. So I think there's still another decade of mining, I would say.
Well, I guess with the young people that are maybe watching this video now, why do you think they should get involved with mining? Well, firstly, I'll qualify that by saying, when you first leave university, basically based very lightly on myself, when I was thinking about leaving university, I had the idea of, some people leave and can wear suits and look good all the time, and some people leave and wear overalls and have these reflectors and these boots, and it didn't look like a very attractive thing to go into. So that young person who's looking at that, both male and female, why should they still be excited about going into the industry of mining?
Wow, I mean, it's a good point that you're making, because when I left university, I was doing civil engineering. I mean, I think it made better sense to go and build roads and infrastructure like that, instead of wearing an overall and finding myself at 3 kilometers, with all the dangers. But there is an opportunity to it. I think mining is very dynamic. It changes all the time, and unlike other engineering disciplines, which basically are very matured, so nothing really has changed much. We build roads the way we were building them 40 years ago. But mining, the way we're doing mining today, is not the same as we were doing it 10 years ago, 20 years ago when I started working. And it's still changing. And who is going to drive innovation within that change and the demands of actually having more sustainable mining? It's young people. So I think there's an opportunity there for young people, to be part of the story of future mining, or we call it nowadays smart mining. That's the vision going forward.
So what qualities do you think young people need to have if they're looking to get into this sort of career?
Quality-wise, people often think that you need to have some kind of an acumen in mathematics or physics, and I don't believe in that, actually. And I'll tell you a story about mathematics and physics and myself. But you just need to be an inquisitive person, a person who's always curious about why things work in a certain way. Why do potholes develop after it rains, and then how do they develop? So I think that's the basis we need to start it. And I think if you are that inquisitive person who's always curious, you'll find that the mathematics and physics becomes easy because you constantly are curious about the why and the how and the what. And then going back to my journey about mathematics and physics, when I was in grade 11.
Form 9.
Form 9, standard 9. Now I'm telling my age. So what happened is that I've never been good at maths and physics all my life until standard 9, and I actually failed it. And then what I did at that time, I was so embarrassed that I took my marks, I used a T-Pex, and I T-Pex my marks, and I graded all my marks. And then I waited until it was dark, and then I showed my mom and says, "Look, I've done very well." And then I mean that. Then I felt very guilty because what have I done? I've created now expectations. Because then she goes and she tells my neighbors, "Oh, my son is so clever," and all of that. So that I decided I need to change something. I need to change something, and it was the way I was studying. I wasn't learning, I was studying. And that's how the Bantu education system, taught us during that time. So I recognized a gap, and I said, "Okay, I need to be smart. I don't need to be clever. I just need to be smart in the way I'm studying mathematics and physics." And then guess what? I had an A in both maths and physics in matric. No one saw that coming. So I mean, I think going back to the question is that. You don't need to be clever in mathematics and physics to be doing what I'm doing in engineering. You just need to have a curiosity and be inquisitive about everything around you.
Look, I think it applies to almost every subject. If you don't understand the why to the subjects that you're doing, then it's difficult to get the how do you do it. And I think, maybe what can be done a lot better within the education system is everything you're doing, they should show us the applications beyond just the exam that's coming up. We need to see real life examples of how is this going to actually benefit me going forward. I need to know where does parabola, hyperbola, all that stuff. I need to know how does this make sense, with the future that I envision for myself, because as with many people, I still haven't used a lot of those graphs that I learned in maths.
Exactly.
But I mean, granted, there's many careers that do use it. And I think when they make it applicable to certain careers, if you know that that's a career that you're excited about, then surely that work will become more interesting. And the more interesting it gets, the better that you start to do at it. Look, I know that the time that we allocate for these interviews, it goes by very quickly. And I mean, knowing you personally, I know that there's many facets to you as an individual. But I think maybe what we can touch on now lightly is just outside the geotechnical space. So when you're not working, what else are you getting up to?
So I try to sort of reset when I'm home, just to get away from the work environment, and obviously spending time with family and friends. But I also have various hobbies, like I like traveling. And I like cars, so you always see me going to breakfast runs and taking videos, attending car shows. And I'm a Paris supporter, so I like any life around football. I'm very passionate about football. So I think in essence, I think that's what I tend to do. When I'm not at work. And it's working so far. To manage, you have to have the right balance. When I was 21. I had a mentor who was 43 at the time I started working, and then he said to me, you said to me, Tandile, you need to leave home and look forward to work. And I call that a career. But at the same time, you need to leave work and look forward to getting home. And if you have those two boxes ticked, then you have the right balance.
Yeah. No,
I think we all need to do that.
100% agree. Is there anything else that you feel you want to share with everyone that I maybe haven't asked you about? Or are you happy with all that you've shared?
I think for young people, if I would share the learnings I've had so far, you know, and what I've been through, I'm still traveling a journey, is that you need to think differently about failure. Failure is there so that you succeed, and then so you need to go through stages of failure and improve from that, learn from that, reflect, learn and improve, and then you'll find that it becomes a habit. It's no longer something that you fear. It's more about an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, so you always see an opportunity in failure. And so I think that's the message to young people. And then I think the lastly, I think you need to have a drive towards being successful at something.
Yeah.
And then you need to surround yourself with people who actually have a drive towards something.
Yeah.
Because that environment is very important to ensure that you don't get distracted to your journey. Yeah. So they don't have to share the same thing that you're doing, but at least they need to be passionate towards something.
True.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've heard it all from Tandile Tlokweni. As always, please do subscribe to the channel. Please do like the video. Please do comment. And if you have any questions, send them through to the email that will appear on the screen, and then I will forward them to Tandile. And as he responds, I will forward them on to you. But thank you very much for coming on today. Hope to see you again soon for another topic.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Awesome.
Yeah,
sure.
Sharp.
Bye, guys.